Hi, and welcome back to the It's Not Rocket Science 5 Questions Over Coffee. I was just telling guest today, Nick Gray, that I've just got a freshly filled cup of coffee in front of me, which I hope is going to sustain me through a really interesting conversation. Nick is an action coach, and he works with people to help them and the team to achieve results without stress, where they're working on their business and moving forward, not in. And helping them to increase profits and have some fun. So I hope we're going to have a really interesting conversation today. Nick, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So Nick, let's just start off by sort of understanding what it is that the biggest challenge your ideal client actually faces today.
Well, as you mentioned, it's typically business owners I work with, helping them with their business. And I think the fundamental one is time, but there's three really. There's time, team, and money. So when you're talking about team, it could be anything: recruiting the right people, keeping the right people, keeping them motivated, getting them doing what they need to be doing. If it's money, that could be a number of things. You know, could be getting the leads in, could be converting those leads into customers. It could be cash flow, could be making enough profit. And then time, which is, I think, the thing that ties it all together, because the other two, if you haven't got time, you can't make any of the other two anyway. So it's, you know, more often than not, I see business owners, especially recently, funnily enough, actually, people seem to be a lot busier recently. And that busy doesn't necessarily mean productive. And quite often we're busy, doing lots of things, but and not got the time to spend on working on the business, which is what you mentioned a minute ago. And of course, working on the business will allow you to develop the business into what it needs to do to achieve your goals and your dreams. And the other thing that suffers is people's home life. If they're busy, then often the family life or their work life out, or their life outside of work suffers as well.
Yeah.
Quite often, I don't know if you've found this, that people say, well, that's just what you've got to do. And I think after a while, they get used to it and say, you know, that's just what it is. But
you're right, Nick. You're absolutely right. Too often I see business owners who are, and you know, I dread to use the phrase, but it is one that is appropriate. They are busy fools because they are busy, but they're concentrating their efforts on all the wrong things, aren't they? They're, you know, the key things that I think you should put into your diary every week, which really make the difference, are, first of all, put your family, because you've got to block out the family time. If you haven't got family time, you haven't got anything. Nobody ever suggested on their deathbed, you know, I wish I hadn't spent more time with my kids. They were horrible. That's just not something that people say. And the other thing is that I think too often people are looking around and going, I must do this, I must do this. And then you ask them, well, is that generating any money? And they answer the question, well, no. And so the key question is, so why are you doing it then? If it's not generating any money, it's sort of like, I don't know, I thought it was a good thing to do. And there's so many good things to do that don't do anything for your business. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Well, I think what we've got to say here at this stage is that it's not anyone's fault, because all business owners pretty much are great at what they do. Most business owners become business owners because they're great at doing something, whether it's being an electrician or a hairdresser or whatever it is. But no one teaches us how to be good in business. Our education system doesn't teach us that. So things like time management, sales and marketing, finance and admin, we're not taught. So that's where people like you and I come in to help people.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. So what's the common mistake that you find that people have made when they're trying to solve those, you know, how do I manage my time, my team, my money?
Well, if we stick with time to keep it simple, I think one of the things that you hear people often saying is that I'm going to hire some more people and then everything will be all right then. So perhaps I can't speak right now, but I'm going to hire someone, then I can speak to you. And that's definitely a good strategy. Hiring people. People are your greatest asset to move your business forward. The thing is, if we're busy and we're not efficient and productive right now, the danger is when we hire somebody, then we're going to find ourselves abdicating to them and that person's not going to get the adequate training and not be delegated to them properly, and we could end up losing that person, and we could be even in a bigger mess. So we certainly need to make sure we've got the fundamentals right with ourselves before we go and hire somebody else. And that could be some, things as simple as, as you just mentioned, your diary, having that ideal week. What are the key things in your diary? Family time and exercise and looking after yourself is one thing. Working on the business is others. So having those key, some people call them your rocks, the rocks that should be there first, or the 20% of your time really that's going to get the biggest biggest output.
Absolutely right. So what's that one valuable free action or free resource that you're sort of helping your clients with at the moment that's going to really deliver value to the audience we've got today?
Well, one thing I've got on my website at the moment, I have a number of downloads on the website, just giveaways. There's an ebook on work fewer hours. I also do free webinars, and I've got one this afternoon actually just on master your time. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Master your time. I call it that, but we both know that that's something you can't do, master your time. But it's really more about mastering yourself. Understanding the key skills to delegation and above all self-management.
Absolutely right, Nick. I can remember many years ago, a mentor of mine saying to me, stop talking about mastering or time management. Time will manage itself. What you've got to manage is your attention between the times that you have available. And you're absolutely right. It's around mastery of yourself. It's about mastery of those skills of delegation, etc., which enable you to make the use of the time that you've got. Absolutely, bang on.
Definitely. And one thing we can do, what I do with my clients initially when we're talking about time, is just getting them to analyze what it is that they do. And it's just doing a time log for a week or two is quite an enlightening thing, and realizing where your time's going. But then also looking at all the tasks you do, and as you mentioned, what do I like doing, and what should I be doing? In other words, is it a skill level that I should be doing, or is it a low skill that somebody else should be doing?
It's interesting when you say that, actually, and I think this is an exercise that far too business owners do. But if you were to do that log yourself and actually sort of assign a cost to it, I know one business owner I worked with who we did that sort of exercise, and when we sort of then divided that by sort of the number of hours when he was doing something which was income generating, and I said, well, if you were doing that all the time, how would that make your week look? And he went, well, I would be earning over £1,000 a day. So I said, well, I have to ask the question, why are you doing your bookkeeping in that hour then, when a bookkeeper will cost you a lot less than 1 hour of your time? And his answer was, I've no idea how to start going about delegating work to a bookkeeper. And of course, you sort of look at him and go, so it's really not the sort of time element that it's got. It's, I've got a step of skill level or whatever that I need to get to do. And then it was just a case of, well, okay, this is how you do that. And it was so easy for him after that to just turn around and go, I've now lost that particular thing. I just didn't know how to do it.
Yeah, you're definitely right, Stuart. That's why I mentioned the art of delegation. Virtual assistants are a great step between where you are now and where with getting an employee. But the problem with virtual assistants that people see is that, like you just said, they don't know what to give to somebody. I think it's best just to get started with somebody like that and with one thing, and then it will just flow on. You'll realise what it is that they can do. But yeah, that's absolutely a good right. Start.
Absolutely brilliant, Nick. Brilliant. So what's that concept, the book that's really sort of been most impactful in your experience?
For that, it's got to be Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog. Just a nice simple book with 21 time management, that time management thing again, isn't it? Or self-management techniques. And the Eat the Frog title actually comes from Mark Twain, who once wrote that if you were to start the day off by eating a live frog, you'd be safe in the knowledge that that's going to be the worst thing you do all day. And that that's back to that 80-20 rule that I just mentioned about, the rock, or that 20% task. If you know what the task is that's 20% of your time but gets 80% of the results, that's probably the rock or the frog that you need to eat in the morning. That's the task that will get the biggest results, but it's the task that you're putting off. It's that making those phone calls or having that conversation, the thing that you really don't want to do, but if you did do it, it'd have the biggest impact. The other benefit is that once you do that, it's plain sailing the rest of the day.
Yeah, absolutely right. I've not heard that quote before from Mark Twain. I have written it down, and I will find a way of working that into an email at some stage today, just because I've now learned it and I really want to use it again. But I mean, going back to that point, it once again, another mentor of mine many years ago turned around to me and said, if you make a list of the top 3 things that you have to get done that day, and they're all done by 11 o'clock in the morning, the rest of the day is yours. And you sit there and you think, wow, a lovely freeing thought that you haven't put them off until the end and they're there all day waiting for you. You've got them out the way, and then you go, I feel free for the rest of the day. I can now be the sort of, the creative or whatever you need to be in order to sort of enjoy the rest of your day. That's it.
And I think you've uncovered something that we overlook a bit, and that's how much stuff's going on in our head. And if you get it out of the way, like you said, it clears it out of your mind, and your brain's 5% of your body, but it takes up 20% of the energy. So if you can free it up from time to time, you're going to feel a lot better as well as act a lot better.
What a great weight off your mind. Not only that, but it frees up your energy as well, doesn't it? What a fantastic thing. What a fantastic. So Nick, let's just sort of turn to the last question, which is the one that I always say is the sort of my get out of jail free card. What's the question I should have asked you, which I haven't actually managed to sort of ask you yet, which will give great value to our audience?
Well, I guess on that same line that we've been talking about time, I suppose how does a business owner become truly free? Because that's why most business owners start their own business, is because they want to be free. And I would say it's systems, and processes. As something that you're very well got a great deal of knowledge about as well, work with your clients with. But if we think about the business, there's 2 numbers I think I like to throw about. There's 2.2 and 6.8. And just roughly, 2.2 is what your business is worth. 2.2 times your annual profit if your business doesn't work without you. In other words, if you have to be there every day. 6.8 is the multiple if you can get the business to work without you. And the key to that is getting those systems and processes. And I think the first thing you can start, if you want to start on that route, is to think about that operations manual that you'd have, that your general manager would have to run your business if you weren't there. And start with the front page, which is just that table of contents. You don't have to write out all the processes, just that table of contents. Start by writing that out with all of the things on there, even if it's opening up in the morning, opening the mail, little things like that, everything to the big jobs. How do we get a customer? And once you've got that table of contents, then you can start the process of gradually putting those processes together. And you can see then once you've done that, you're pretty much on the way to that freedom.
Yeah. Do you know the trick to that, Nick? The absolute trick. You're absolutely right. Start with the table of contents, and then every time you do something, you just make a short note of what have I just done. It does 2 things, doesn't it? One, it builds that manual. I mean, even if you've just got a piece of paper next to you, but I obviously try and explain to people the best thing to do is to stick it somewhere on a computer so that other people can access it. But not only that, as you sit and look through it, you can ask yourself the question, why did I do it that way? Because there are always ways you can go, well, if I didn't do that, and if I did it slightly better, slightly quicker, I'd save a bit of time. And I'd also ask myself occasionally, do I even need to do it? Because there are things that I know we all do that we take great time over, and we just shouldn't be doing them at all. We should actually sort of turn around and go, we didn't do anything, didn't move the business forward. Let's stop doing that one then.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think if we're, as you were saying, when we think of it, but also when we're telling people something, if you tell somebody, one of your staff, how to do something, if you don't write it down, then you're going to be saying that again.
Yeah, brilliant. Love it. Absolutely loved it. Look, Nick, this has been a really brilliant conversation. Thanks very much for spending some valuable time with us today. Listen, guys, if you want to hear more of these sort of conversations, if you want to sort of listen to what we're doing, get on to this link, which is https://tca.fyi/subscribe. That subscribe is dead easy to spell. I won't even bother to try and explain it. So that's https://tca.fyi/subscribe. Hear more of the sort of stuff from people like Nick, where we get to talk about some really interesting stuff like this. Nick, I hope the downloads go well. I hope the webinar this afternoon goes brilliantly. Really looking forward. I'm going to sort of get on your website now and sort of download some of that time management stuff. I'm sure it's going to be a great read. So really great to have spoken to you this morning. Sincerely hope that you get to spread more of this message with some of the people we're talking with today.
Thanks for having me, Stuart. Good to speak to you.
Thanks, Nick. Speak to you again soon.
Cheers. Bye.